Hi, you guys. We're going to do chapter 5 of Runt today. Runt couldn't locate his family's scent again, so he tried to pick up his own to follow the fragrant imprint his paws had left earlier. When he finally got a hold of it, he snuffed along eagerly, only to end up at the stream once more. He had retraced his journey away from the gray wolf's realm, not the one he had made from the den. He tried again and again, but always he found himself circling away from the stream and back, away and back. Finally, just when Runt was certain he would never see his family again, he picked up another familiar scent. Biter! Runt sniffed deeply. Biter's aroma had never been so welcome, and moved forward at a lope. Keeping his nose close to the trail, he found the white wolf in a small clearing enclosed by quaking aspen trees. Obviously, the hunt had been successful. Biter's face was bloody and his belly was distended. And he was so intent upon digging a hole to cache the deer haunch. And that means that they're burying it and saving it for later. That's what cache means. That lay on the ground beside him, that he didn't seem to hear Runt's approach until the black pup burst in upon him, yelping with delight. Biter whirled on him with a snarl. Runt stopped in his tracks, backing away from the fiercely exposed teeth. "It's just me, Runt. I'm so glad I found you." Biter gave the pup a hard stare. "What are you doing here?" he demanded. The fur that had risen on the back of his neck began to settle again, but slowly. Runt stammered, "I want to help with the hunt. I tried to follow and got lost." Biter snorted disdainfully and turned back to his digging. From a respectful distance, Runt examined the deer haunch that lay on the ground. It was large and very meaty. Why was Biter burying food so far from the den? He should be taking it home to the pups, as the rest of the pack did. Runt knew better than to ask, though. When the pack had more than they could consume in a single long feast, King cached meat too. However, he buried it near the site on the hill of the kill, where all the hunters knew how to find it, not in some hidden place like this. King buried it and then dug it up again later when food was needed at the den. Runt had a feeling, though, that this treasure would never make it back home, except in Biter's belly. Runt's own belly rumbled, but Biter ignored him entirely and finished digging the hole. Then he pushed the haunch into it and set to covering it. As the meat disappeared, saliva dripped from Runt's tongue. The haunch buried safely, the white wolf finally turned and leveled a hard stare at the pup. "So you're lost?" he growled. Runt crouched, and his head low, his tail tucked, and said nothing. Biter took a step toward Runt and repeated the growl without any words this time. Runt rolled over, exposing his throat and tender belly. "Help me," his entire body said. "I'm only a pup, and you must help me." Biter moved closer, straddling the black pup now. He stared down at him, his ears pricked and hackles raised. Runt lay perfectly still, his tail tucked, his legs splayed, waiting. Was Biter going to hurt him? It wasn't possible. No wolf ever attacked another who surrendered so completely, especially a pup. In a single swift movement, Biter lunged, his teeth grazing Runt's throat. Then, as swiftly as he had started the attack, he pulled away again. Pulling away and trotted briskly out of the clearing. Runt scrambled to his feet and hurried after Biter, hoping that the white wolf was heading home to the den. Once Biter started moving, though, he never looked back to see if Runt was following, let alone to see if he could keep pace. The pup, already exhausted from his long trek, had to use all his strength to avoid being left behind and lost once more. As he stumbled after the disappearing flag of Biter's tail, he found himself remembering something Raven had said. When a king was disposed, that means thrown away or let go, as Biter had once been, he was usually permitted to take a lower place in the pack. But if he had been the kind of leader who bullied the rest of the pack, they might use this moment of his fall to drive him away. Biter must have been driven away because he was a bully. Runt picked up his pace, bully or not. Right now, Biter was the one who knew the way home, and there was little Runt could do but follow. Only when the white wolf had almost reached the home clearing did he slow his steps, and Runt, seeing the familiar opening before him, put on a sudden spurt and caught up. The two of them entered the clearing side by side. The rest of the pups and helper were feasting on the meat the hunters had brought back to the den. The hunters themselves were resting, watching with pride while the others fed. When Biter and Runt came into view, King lifted his head and looked past Biter directly to Runt. "Where have you been?" the Golden Eyes said. "What foolish thing have you been doing now?" Runt cringed, knowing that he had disgraced himself. Following the hunters, getting lost, wandering into another pack's territory, he should have known better. But before he could even attempt an explanation, Biter spoke. "Here is your foolish son," he said. "He ran away, but I rescued him for you." Runt lowered his head, keeping his eyes carefully averted. Still, his father's stern gaze was like a pressure against his skin. King said nothing, but as the black pup made his way across the clearing to join his littermates at their meal, he had only one thought. Biter had lied about his running away. That had not been what he had done, and Biter knew it. He had lied about rescuing him, too. The white wolf had taken himself home, nothing more, and Runt had managed to follow. Till this moment, Runt hadn't known it was possible for a wolf to lie. What else might there be about the world that he didn't know? Nothing he wanted Biter to teach him. That's for sure. And that's the end of chapter 5.